Okay. Good morning. I'm Leandra Foster, and we have two presenters with us today. But before we get to that, is there anything going on in the community that we need to know about? Sure. Julie.
I'm Julie Elstrup, and I have a women's business community mastermind next Tuesday. So if anybody's interested in coming, and the guys look at me like, well, not so much. I would love to have you join me. It is on Zoom, and then I do have an in-person event on March 1st. So if any of you women business owners are looking to hang out with other awesome women, let me know.
And where can we find information on that?
I can get information for you if you want to just grab my card, or I can also send information if you want to post it somewhere.
And actually, you know what, I jumped ahead and I forgot to do introductions. So you started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Okay, I'll talk about myself and my business. I'm Julie Elstrup, and I am a portrait and branding photographer. I work with doing lots of personal branding and headshots and beauty and boudoir, focus mostly on women and elevating us to live our best lives.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to introduce themselves? I just like to put people on the spot. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Michael Olivier. I'm here by invitation to hear him speak.
All right. And what do you do?
I'm a senior UX design engineer for a tech company.
Okay, cool. Anybody online want to introduce themselves?
Sure, I can. My name's Alex Kuklinski. I'm the founder of FIO. We're a how-to platform, and so folks use our tool to onboard, train, and support their customers at scale. So I'll actually be presenting a month from now, I believe. So glad to be here.
All right, so with a few introductions, any other announcements, anything happening in the community? Startup week's not till the fall.
Loveland's doing their multiple, was that Loveland Business Month or something?
Loveland, what is it?
I think it's Loveland Business Month, where they have a bunch of different speakers.
This month?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Loveland's month.
Good point.
Yes.
I know that's what I was just racking my brain too. I have a Wealthy Women Don't Pinch Pennies coming up on March 1st and again on March 22nd. So if you want to know about that, I now have the answer to Dane's question last time of where can we find out about that, so you can register on Linktree/Elon-like, which I can give you that information. But if you want to learn about managing your money and your relationship with money, come to Wealthy Women Don't Pinch Pennies. Men can come too.
So your VA figured out how to use Eventbrite?
Possibly. I made a Zoom registration. I think it's at least going into that. Okay, so yes, Marcus.
Once again, because things are, cross your fingers, slowly returning to normal. Now this is a little ways out. March 1st through the 14th in downtown Fort Collins. Great Plates of Downtown returns.
Were you trying for the gecko effect?
No.
Or microphones.
So Great Plates of Fort Collins returns after probably a 2-year hiatus. I'm excited.
Is it like it's the full Great Plates? Because they had like kind of pared down Great Plates last year.
Yes, I believe it's the
Average
full Great Plates. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it was average plates. Great prices.
Fast food plate.
Okay. Well, then with that, we'll get started with Eric McClure, right? Eric McClure. And his fun fact for the day is that he and his wife sold everything and took their 2- and 4-year-old boys on the road. So we need to hear the rest of that story and your presentation.
Yeah, we sold everything, quit our jobs, and took our boys on the road for 7 months, traveling around. And that's how we actually ended up here.
Ran out of money.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm here to raise money for the next trip.
Spray painted Colorado or bust on the side.
All right, I'm here to talk about a new startup I'm working on called Homequest. We're on a mission to democratize real estate. And the ask here is general feedback on the pitch, but we're also looking for investor introductions and anyone that wants to get involved. So real estate markets are heating up all over the country. It's incredibly hard for buyers to find a home, and bids are incredibly competitive. But if it's such a seller's market, why does it still cost an average of $30,000 to sell a home in Fort Collins with a realtor? Sorry, it's not moving. It is possible to sell without a realtor, and I know that because I've done this. And the biggest insight I learned was it was actually a much better experience, aside from just saving a ton of money. It was less stressful for me, but I was only able to do this because I just told a friend that I was thinking about buying about selling our house. And it turned out her parents were really interested in a house in our neighborhood, and we're going to be in town that next weekend. And that really is what started the process. The biggest difference is I started with an interested and qualified buyer. And so I realized that the problems we face with today's real estate market are really symptoms of a closed network. The only efficient way for homeowners and buyers to connect is to lean into this inefficient intermediary and fully commit to the process. It's honestly like a dating app where you have to lead with a marriage proposal and step into an aggressive sales flow where two proxies, battle it out on your behalf. And realtors are salespeople, and there's certainly a time and a place for when you need a salesperson. But salespeople are market makers, and they create artificial timing and pricing problems that is so much of the real estate game today. And the current players in the market really aren't solving the problem either. So on the surface, it feels like an impossible problem to get around, but we've seen the same situation play out with other industries like hotels and taxis in the past. And buyers really have evolved. They're online, they're working remote, they're younger, they're tech savvy. So we really think the opportunity is now. So we're building a solution to the problem, a platform that will connect buyers and interested sellers directly, allowing them to connect when they're ready and on their own terms. But to make this successful, we need to build the first true real estate network, and that's certainly not easy. But we're going to start by giving potential buyers new access to public real estate data in a unique way that taps into the playful, fun way of exploring real estate. And this will allow us to get leading indicators from interested buyers, because the reality is we all love browsing through real estate, and we can feed that to property owners, and in turn start taking in leading indicators from their end to be able to make that connection. Because the goal is to recreate that magical connection I had where, here we are, I was interested and had a buyer ready at that time. And from here, we can build a business model around it, essentially servicing SaaS-based tools that'll help a seller and help a buyer and ultimately help the transaction as well. And even tap into partners like, Turbo Tenant, where we can pull data from rental properties to help evaluate the pricing and sales opportunity there. And we have a solid founding team with the knowledge and experience to execute. And we're really just beginning on this journey. I just went full time at the beginning of the year to take a stab at this. So we're in the early build and design phase, which is why we're also looking for investors, early adopters to help us UX test, and anyone interested in joining the team, like Michael Olivia. That's it.
ever, 4.5 minutes. Actually, 4:29.81 since it's the Olympics.
Go for it.
Marcus.
So 2 questions for you. First of all, because I've done a lot of real estate deals. First of all, how are you going to navigate the regulatory landscape, which is usually set state by state, and a lot of those requirements that a broker has? It seems like, much like Icarus, you're flying real close to the sun on being a broker. And I feel like your wings are going to melt off a couple places. So you're going to need a legal war chest. And then I'll save my second question for after a few other people get some stuff in.
Or after.
Can he exit screen sharing? Do I need to exit screen sharing? Yes.
Yeah. There
we go. Yes, that's certainly something that we're going to need to navigate. You actually don't have to be licensed to be a real estate coordinator in most situations, which is how some companies get around it. And then forSaleByOwner.com is an example where they're just marketing. But the key here is we're not trying to step in as a discount broker to take a piece of the pie. Like, we're not going to take a percentage. We're just supplying the tools, because in every state you can sell on your own. There's no law that says I can't have that interaction. And that's really what we're going for.
So then that brings my question. How do you get compensated? You talked about a $30,000 cost for the seller now. How do you get compensated?
Yeah, so the beauty of being able to do that at scale with software, as we've seen, is we don't need to take a high dollar amount, because we can, there's 7 million homes sold every year. About 8% of the market turns over every year. And so we want to be able to surface really affordable tools where it makes sense. And so it's certainly a challenge, because we're going to earn our keep. If you want to connect on your own, fantastic. We're really making that magical moment and creating a network there. And to be honest, we also envision the ability to feed off that network. Like, when you look at a network like LinkedIn, there's tons of content on there, and it's not a marketplace for employees and hiring. It's really a network for those that want to do that. And that's just a piece of the pie that they tap into.
James in the back and digitally.
James,
just a quick question. So follow up on Mike's stuff. So is this software going to be like subscription based or one time?
And by the way, the ask here is more on the presentation. If you want to learn more, let's talk outside of this. Because there's a lot of details I didn't include in this deck. We have a long way to actually figure that out. We're well aware of that, but I'm more curious. How's the presentation? Does it make you interested? It sounds like it does.
It does.
It's interesting. There are people online too. That
and I feel like hands have been up.
Choose them and then come back to me.
All right, James.
I, like Marcus, I've been involved in a lot of real estate deals, and actually I have a house going up for sale, so I would like to talk to you. But you mentioned unique market data. I've been trying to get that for about 25 years. What can you offer, and how do you get it?
Yeah, 25 years ago, it wasn't the same, right? But now that data is pretty much commoditized. There's numerous products where you can tap in through an API and pull all kinds of data. And again, there's a lot of the secret sauce is going to be how we tackle that. So not going to talk about that here, but what do you think about the presentation? Well, hold on, I've got to call someone.
We've got Ozzy online.
Ozzy.
Yeah, I'm going to channel Sanchez for a minute. And there's a couple of things. The compelling value proposition is not clear. It has an idea. There's a lot of ideas when it comes to real estate. I don't see a differentiator. It just, whatever you're doing, there's interest because people sell houses and buy houses, obviously. So that's kind of baked into the sauce. But what does not come through in your presentation is compelling value. Why would anyone ever use it? The other part that doesn't come through is your revenue model. It's, smoke and mirrors. There's just nothing there. So, excuse me. Shoot, hate it when someone calls me in the middle of something. But anyhow, so the bottom line is that if you're going to take it before an investor group or someone else, there's a lot missing there. I have no basis for saying that it's a good, bad, or indifferent idea, other than to say that it is a market that is, that's attractive to a lot of people and a lot of companies.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. One thing I actually think I forgot to say in there is we do have enough capital self-funded to get us through the next, or at least the initial phase. So this is really early on. And to your point, it is early, right? So we're just trying to have those first conversations so that we can then take it in that right direction and actually have more data to prove out where we're going with that when we're actually raising.
Julie had a comment.
So my comment was about your presentation and you. There's not a lot of you in there, like who you are. Why would investors want, you sold a house and you had a friend who, that kind of thing. But you went over, and you have more time. You went over that slide really quickly, and your CTO, I was like, who, not even a photo up there, right? Not even a picture. So a little bit more about how you are and why you're uniquely qualified to do this. And I did love your idea that you know, came back from a family trip and landed here, but I don't know that I'd want to invest a lot because of that. So just, you know, another.
That was just a fun fact.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I won't lead with that.
Yeah, but more about you and why you're qualified.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I love the fun fact. Don't get me wrong.
I've scaled software companies. We took our last one through acquisition, sold it for 25 times the price of a house I've ever bought. So that was my biggest transaction.
Yeah, so put that in your presentation.
Yeah, it was a timing thing. I was trying to keep this down, and so I didn't go into that. And the reason Chris is anonymous, he's still fully gainfully employed. And we're sort of navigating that, and I didn't know where this was going to go out. So he's like, we're not putting my name and face in there yet. But that's what people are going to want to know. An investor, we're going to be right there talking to them about it. Yeah. So it's a different ballgame there.
Yeah. Dane, you had a comment?
Yeah, as far as the presentation went, I thought it was great. You had more time, I would use it. Definitely talking about yourself, especially at this stage of asking investors for money. They're interested in the idea, yes, but they're more interested in how come you're the person who can turn their money into something else, right? But I loved at the beginning your staging of it of, we just do it this way, we always have, and you asked, well, why? And gave all these examples of people who did that. And so immediately I was thinking, oh yeah, I've just kind of followed along with the status quo without even thinking about it. And here's someone thinking, well, why not do it different? Yeah. So I really liked the way you set things up in your presentation for an investor. Definitely got me interested.
Awesome. Yeah, I was terrified about the timing, and I screwed up and had the timer still going, because if I had known I had so much time, I would have talked about myself all day long. But you know, it said like 12 minutes. I'm like, well, I certainly have been talking for 12, so I stopped.
Sorry.
Yeah, sticking with just kind of presentation stuff. I think the good was not too much stuff on the slides. Sometimes there's just way too much crap on slides. I did think a few of them were pretty fast. Like it was, even though there wasn't much stuff on it, it was hard to catch everything. So it slowed down a little bit. From a pitch standpoint, as an investor, I'd want to know the revenue model, even if it's one slide on it, just like, are you going to make money reselling stuff? Are you going to sell data? Are you going to charge a flat fee? Are you going to charge a subscription, whatever it is? How you get your first customers? Is this an SEO play? Is this Google AdWords? Like, how do you get the first 10 people? Probably more on team. And then probably like, what are you asking for? Are you asking for a $100,000 investment, $1 million, 10 million? Like a little bit on, not necessarily all the terms, but like looking for 50K to 100K at this point, or looking for 100K to 500 or 500 to $1 million or whatever.
Brian online here.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off what Ozzy said about your differentiators and why we would work with you, because I think a lot of people go to realtors, yes, because it's the traditional thing, but also because real estate and deeds are not things most people understand, want to understand, or want to deal with. And many people have to get a mortgage anyway. We're not paying cash, which means that people are doing the traditional thing because it's built for those people. So,
okay.
So what I would say is, I need you to tell me why that's not true in your presentation.
Yeah, that's
I want you to tell me, hey, it doesn't matter that it's buyer to owner. You're going to be able to do everything right. You're able to get the money that you need through mortgages in this way. You're able, because otherwise it's a great idea, but I would never do it because I can do it because I'm a lawyer, but like a lot of people are going to be like, what's a deed look like?
Yeah, and I was going to go into a bit about that more because, you know, when you really start thinking about it that way, your realtor has less education to get licensed than a hairstylist, right? So why not hire a lawyer for a fraction of the cost? And likewise, one thing tech has done well is tap into how we get mortgages, how you get pre-approved. And so we see a huge opportunity to facilitate that. And that's also going to be a huge channel partner for us because no matter how you buy and sell, like you said, you're still going to get a mortgage. So they're going to want to play in our playground for sure.
And I would potentially change your messaging from traditional is bad to here's what traditional looks like and here's what we do better.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would also check state to state because I would also check state to state because I want to say Illinois requires attorney involvement. I'm not 100% on that. But because real estate is state-based, make sure you're doing it right in all the states.
Yeah.
Okay, wrap up with Jenny. We'll get second rounds of coffee and then we'll be up with our next speaker.
I was just going to add, you got a lot of good feedback that the highlight moment in your presentation, like everybody laughed when you did the marriage proposal joke.
Yeah.
But that's focusing on the downside of the current industry. And the analogies play well with the audience. So you had the humor one, but you also had the analogy to Uber and whatever else. I think if you carry out that analogy to the end of the presentation so that at the end you can tell us, so mine is like, I don't know what it is. Like we're like dating, we're like something, but come back to that analogy so that we get the positive side that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because that joke played really well.
Yeah.
So just carry it through to what is your position then at the end?
I mean, I even was going to tap, like SNL did an amazing skit where they're saying how real estate's the new porn that everyone wants, right? You just spend all this time looking at real estate. So, you know,
but
I got jokes all day.
But just come back, like tie it in at the end.
So we actually get to go on a first date where we actually feel
we're going to ease into this. You don't have to get married. All right.
Okay, so go ahead and grab your second cup of coffee because Dave made a second pot for us today.
I did.
And I actually even made a full pot today. Like,
wow. All right.
we just had more people, so we might have to go back to the
oh, that's good.
And then Trish, you can get set up. And then Eric, there's
no slides?
Yeah, they're up there on the
slideshows or anything?
I'm just telling a story.
You're
You should add how you're going to beat the biggest lobbying group in the history of the world.
I know. Well, you know, it's been done before. It's not like she's aren't bound. Yes, it is a uphill battle. We're going to need a lot more than when you have
I'm intimidated.
You still have 6.
Oh,
stick with your 6.
Oh, I did.
Well, so the other thing is reset the call. What I wanted to dive into.
The only reason I drink coffee is
just
my excuse to have milk.
Nature of the commission system and how you're compensating a buyer's agent from the seller.
Down.
All these guys.
I'm from Wisconsin. I think
Yes, there's a giant lobby.
Yeah,
it's good. It's gonna be a challenge. I mean, I feel like
ice cream, cheese.
Milk is like
Zillow's
That's even worse.
Steve.
That's kind of what I
Like products are quite good, but I do enjoy that it's liquid and solid.
Their whole revenue models are based
I
off.
may be vegetarian.
right, they're a marketing company. And they tried to buy, but that obviously didn't go so well. The offers.
All right, Marcus, wrap it up. And it's delicious. Are you injured? Worse today.
Let's just have a little.
All right. Wrap it up, coffee people.
Easy.
It's all about, right?
That's right. So our second presenter today. Oh, here.
No, it's not.
So today we have Trish O'Neill from the cooking studio here in Fort Collins. And her fun fact.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I know, I had it there. Is that she actually knows how to milk a goat. My question is by hand or with a machine? Because I'm a milk cow, but I never did it by hand.
Yeah, that's just a funny fun fact. We had a hobby farm when my kids were small, and we had goats, and we milked them, and we gave our kids goat's milk and made things out of goat's milk. And so if you do that, you have to know how to milk a goat. And I'll tell you another fun fact. If you get the goat to jump up on the table that you build, then you're just milking like this versus sitting down. Yeah. Nice. I never have used that since, but there you go. All right. So hi, I'm Trish O'Neill. I'm just here to tell you a story. It's a startup story. Successful, thankfully, so far. Cooking studios in Old Town in the Opera Galleria. We do team building. We do cooking classes for adults. We do cooking camps for kids. And we do date nights. And we have a ton of fun. And we made it through till today. When I was a nurse practitioner and was working in hospitals, went from that to consulting with hospital systems, and I was a consultant for nurse or hospital systems trying to figure out how to do nurse residencies. So I was at Harvard and Stanford and all over and connecting people and traveling all the time, living in Boulder. I didn't cook at all. I'm not a cook. I didn't dream of opening a cooking school ever. But in 2009, I took a cooking class in Boulder and I went, oh, this is really fun. And I got hooked. And then when I was traveling around, I started taking cooking classes. There is a place like what we have here in almost every city in the world, if you look for them. And so if you travel, take a cooking class, you meet the local people, you eat the local food, it's really fun. I got back from Nashville one time, flying back, I think I could do this better. And I'm so tired of being on airplanes and airports and hotels. And so I was actually having lunch with some folks at the Rio, and I said, I think I'm gonna start a cooking school and I'm gonna move to Fort Collins. And so I worked with the Small Business Development Center. I worked with, I did a lean startup thing, which was hard to fit a cooking school, little tiny business into that, but I did it. And we started. So the assumptions was that if you have a solid budget and you really thought about it, you're going to be fine. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. I did all the things I could have. What you have to do is do a solid budget, do all your work, and then double everything, at least double it, if not triple. The miscalculation is I had run these $1 million projects. I was a nurse executive administrator at hospitals. I thought I would have all the skills to run a small business. So wrong, so wrong. Small business, especially small businesses, are nothing like big business, nothing. You are everybody, right? As you all know, like everything you do is easy, but doing them all at the same time is impossible. Another assumption, well, then I had a miracle. I'll tell you about the miracles. First, I was working on the project. I was going to put a big oven in the middle of the room and had tables around, bare bones. I wrote a proposal to the Electrolux people, and the guy that was helping me at the Small Business Center says, put everything in there so they can pick something. Maybe they'll give you something for all the equipment. They called me 2 days later. We love this idea. When would you like all of this installed? 5 ovens, 5 hoods, 5 ranges, refrigerator, a freezer, and 5 hoods. And I was like, holy shit, this is so great. And then I realized that there was not a construction company in town that wanted to talk to me. I was small, I didn't have any money, it was complicated, it's in the Opera Galleria. So I went to RV+B, which is just down the road, excuse me, down the road. And I said, I don't know what to do. Can I at least have meetings here so they think they're working with you? Or could you like just help me? Could you call somebody and say, could you please just talk to Trish? And David Kress said, you know what? I got these 2 young architects, just hired them. We don't really have a lot for them to do and they need a portfolio. For the amount of money you had, which was very small, I'll let them work with you. they could set up meetings or whatever. Those two young women knocked themselves out. They got the CAD drawings for the Opera Galleria. They got a consultant to go in the ceiling to get the ventilation figured out. And the project came in on time and under budget. Miracle number 2. So we started classes. It's really fun, everything's going. A lot of the downtown business people brought their teams. Susan Kirkpatrick's there. We have chefs that teach, different chefs from different restaurants teach. So they all pitched in, you know, they didn't even want money, just let me teach, it's a great idea. We learned a lot, lots of advice, going great. Then I realized that I had spent all my money, got started, and marketing isn't free. And I didn't have any money for marketing. Like, and it's a lot of money, as you all need to go forever. And so what happened was local business people and entrepreneurs like you and people came and brought their teams and brought their friends. So you can see that some of the Bohemian Foundation people came, the NOCO style people brought people, Pat Stryker and her crew all came, and they told people, and it just, the word of mouth just worked. And I had a full classes. Then of course, this all happened. I don't need to tell you anything about that. We're regulated as a restaurant, so we're closed. One fun fact is when we were closed, in order to keep paying the chefs that taught, because they all lost their jobs too, their other jobs, we taught 4th and 5th graders in their own homes how to cook family dinner on Zoom. So we'd Zoom in, we'd have 12 kids, 12 kitchens, like cooking salmon and vegetables and everything. And it was just so much fun. We learned a lot. Kids had a great, we got a lot of, we didn't make any money, but we got a lot of goodwill, and the kids had something to do. The chefs got paid. It was fun. It wasn't gloomy. So then the miracle number 4, I had GoFundMe money right away when we shut down. People gave me money to keep going, make sure the chefs got paid. Got PPP, city gave us 2 grants. The big thing was the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which basically covered all the losses that I had. And I had made it enough to keep going by the skin of my chinny chin chin, or the hair on my chin chin. And so now I have money, and it's all working. And so here's the lessons learned. Living with the upside and the fun of running a business is really easy. It's so much fun. The downside is you feel like a failure all the time. You're by yourself. You're used to being on a team and somebody to buck you up. And when you need bucked up, you got to go find a team. Like Julie's group, you have to find a team to build you up. You sometimes have to put your own money back in when you thought you're going to be making lots of money. You're like, oh no, I got to put some money back. And as long as you're okay with that and overextending your personal resources, your energy, your time with friends, then you're a small business person. If you can't live with that, don't do it. You know, because that's the downside. Is what kills the small business people. It's not the, you know, all the little details. So what's next for us? We have space during the day. We had a high school senior from Compass Academy come, and she did a project for her senior project, which was to have culinary programs at Compass and have us be their lab. And so she wrote it all up. She did a curriculum. She said they could take the bus down here. Here's when it would be. And she presented it. And as I was helping her learn that, I thought, that's what we need to do with the daytime space there, because we're not really using it in the mornings at all. So I don't really know where to go or who to talk to or how to proceed with that, but that's my next step. That's it. Yeah, I took a few. So that's it. Any questions?
All right. Yeah, it started.
Well, it's a great story. It's awesome you're doing that. Do you have any asks or any?
I don't.
How to get into the schools, or
if anybody knows, like what I don't know right now is pretty much everything about who makes the decisions about school curriculums. Like, is it the parents? Is it homeschooler people? Is it the principals? Is it the teachers? Is it the school board? I mean, I honestly don't know who the pitch even is going to be to.
My gut would be to start with the private and or charter, because the main school district is probably just going to be a huge pain in the ass, but I don't know.
To answer your question, my dad was principal for like 20 years. So curriculum, it depends on district size. Something as large as PSD, I would assume that curriculum would be set cooperatively between the principals. And there's probably a handful of people that work on curriculum development at the district office. So probably reach out to the district office first, or reach out to a principal, and then a principal can put you in touch with the rest of the curriculum development folks.
So I'm going to raise my hand and speak up here. So to that point, I'm on the PTO at my school, and I think going to PSD is probably too high, but talking to the individual schools, I know that my PTO, like I brought it up because, you know, your kindergartner goes to school and eats at a normal pace. And by the end of the first year, he's shoveling his food, because I literally watched the kids sit down and they're like, come on, we got to go to recess. And the kids are trying to eat their apples as they're taking their trays to dump them. They're eating as they're taking their food to their trays to dump their food. And so this is something that my PTO, like I brought it up, and several other mothers said, oh yeah, we need to address this as soon as COVID is not such like a pressing issue. So I think just going to maybe PTOs or the individual schools, because I think the individual schools do have some leeway that they don't have to follow PSD. So that would be my thought on that. Julie?
I'm a recovering educator. And I'm actually friends with the curriculum director in Poudre School District. So I can love to chat with you about that. And oh gosh, I just got chills, so I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I have a friend who, Patty Smith, runs the Her Legacy Foundation, and she got women's history into the curriculum at PSD. So I could probably connect you with both of those people to figure out how to do that. So
I know the curriculum, like I know the high school culinary teachers.
Yeah.
So I know them, they've come in for in-services and things like that. We actually help teach them how to teach sometimes.
Yeah.
On the restaurant side. But I don't want to get distracted in having this giant project, but I definitely need to find out, like, is it too big? Should I just focus? Here's an ask, should I just stay with what I do and know right now I can, I have no boundaries, I guess. Our revenues are respectable, but they're really a small business, and that's all they'll be unless I get another product line that actually makes a couple $100,000.
Let's go to Ben online here.
I can't see it because I turned.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hey, thank you for the presentation. I love cooking, so we'll definitely be checking you out. I didn't know about you, but I'm down in Loveland, so I'm a little bit ways away, but not too far. A couple of things that you mentioned. Did you say that all of your revenue comes from your afternoon and or evening classes? Or is that saying that you have, anywhere between what, 8 and 16 hours of unused time in your space?
We do. We have, during the day, we probably have, if you went from 8 to 2 every day is unused, because we only use it in the evenings. So sure. How many days is that? How many hours and days? I don't know. Yes, we have unused space. Okay. And we can't use it for commercial kitchen use because we're not licensed for that.
Okay.
So that's what you're going to suggest, because a lot of people need that space, but I'm not allowed to license it for that. So, or for restaurant use, it can only be if people cook their own food.
So we'll go
out. That was one of the questions I was going to had is if you had explored, commercial use commissary potentially to leverage that extra time. And I don't know if it's worthwhile, if there is something that you could pursue there, but it's a lot of unused time that I think is a block of time that places like, small startup food production companies, food trucks, things like that could be interested in that particular time block, because it counteracts where they're normally trying to do their selling time. The other thing that you mentioned in your presentation was that during COVID, you did remote, you did Zoom, right? These classes or trainings or whatever. And again, that time, I think that sounds interesting to me when you say that you're looking to develop additional revenue streams, is that you could potentially use this unused time in your space to drive, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be live teachings, but those I think have a lot of value. But you could also do things like recording classes and then maybe doing some sort of subscription service to those classes. If people find that they have a particular chef that they love watching and working with and things like that. Or I don't know, I think there's a lot of opportunity there, because you said the response was great to it, though you didn't necessarily generate a lot of revenue from it. You allowed those cooks to maintain some sort of income. But I think there's potentially interest there where you could leverage that same kind of process, because you demonstrated success in using it in your space already. You just need to figure out how to monetize that.
Yeah, I can do one response to that, is that the big thing that we feel is really the product is that you're working with a chef. You're not, we call it the guide on the side instead of the sage on the stage, you know, like you're working with somebody. So when you make a mistake, they can say, oh, this is what we can do to fix it. Or if you're at your house, I don't have a whisk. Okay, do you have a fork? No, you need a bigger fork, you know, or I can't see the stove. Like some of the kids were too short. And he says, tell your mom to get you a stool so you can see. I mean, it's just that personal relationship is what my product is. I mean, it really is. The product is more that than teaching cooking.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go Alex, Eric, and then James.
Hey, so I absolutely loved your presentation. I love hearing stories like this. And my wife and I are in Longmont, but we're definitely going to come up and do this sometime soon.
The place in Boulder, there's a place in Boulder, my friend Casey has the food lab. It's right on Pearl Street.
Okay. Cool. I'm going to make a note of that.
I want you to go there, but.
Yeah, I'm going to go to your place first, even though it's further away. So to piggyback off of Ben's point, you know, there's definitely like other opportunities for you to use like not Coursera, but like Teachable, Udemy, other platforms like that to create a potential different revenue stream. Obviously, I totally understand the value prop of, you know, having that personal one-on-one connection, but I also feel like that can be like a premium service offering that you can have too, right? Where you have something that is widely available, scalable, people are buying, you know, just because they want to be interested in that. And then, you know, maybe there's like a, you know, if they get stuck or something, right? Like they can schedule a one-on-one with a chef that maybe did that course. Obviously they can come on down to the place too. So that's something that I would at least explore, because I think it makes a lot of sense. And the other thing too is, yes, there's definitely a loss of like personal one-on-one connection, but so much of like online learning is just like the presentation style. If you have somebody that is talking like super relatable terms, not assuming anything, you're going to be able to connect to a lot more people than maybe I think that you feel like you might be able to. So much of it is presentation style as well. I mean, things like Cooking with Babish, like all these other like YouTubers that focus on cooking. A lot of the ones that I really enjoy are just super personal, down to earth, and are really tailored to the novice, which is what I am. So just a few points on that. But I absolutely love what you're doing.
We have just a couple minutes left. So Eric and James, if you can keep it concise.
Yeah, when you start talking about the kids, I think that's such an amazing idea. And I do agree with you more that live is the way to go. Yes, there's all these online ones, but I think that's a competitive, challenging one. And there are actually a lot more new platforms. There's one, our two boys were on where there was a live person teaching them how to draw something. And I'm texting my wife trying to figure out what the hell the name of the company was. But I think that might be an easier way to step into it, where, you know, even though kids are back in school, there's still huge communities of homeschoolers that would completely do that. And then it might open up, you know, group night classes as well, because I put my kids in there.
Yeah, my big challenge is our classes are sold out through April now. Like we're all sold out. And so it's nice, but I can't make another Saturday night. Like there's only one every week. It's like seasonal, weekly seasonal issues.
No interest for morning classes?
We haven't in the past. We haven't had any interest in daytime classes, but I'm just talking to the chefs today about maybe we need it. Like, clearly we're at a place where we need to think of something to open up more spaces for people.
James, and then we'll wrap it up.
So nutrition is big business. The educational market is very, very tough. But it seems like if you were to hook up with someone who's interested in nutrition within the school system, they would be your champion to get this pushed through, number one, but also it's just such a giant business that pilot programs, that was what I was going to talk about. I'm big on pilot programs. Don't try for a giant school system. We're going through that with my business, where healthcare is our thing. I'm not taking on the whole healthcare industry. I'm looking for one pilot user, and that would probably serve you better.
Even that terminology is less intimidating. It's just say, we're looking for a place to do a pilot. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so to wrap up for today, who has a win, who has an ask, or who needs help? Marcus.
Sure. My day job is with Revival Development Services, and among many other things we do, we help with permanent resettlements for folks who are being displaced, who are low income or in public housing or along those lines. If anyone is a landlord or knows a landlord, that would be awesome, because particularly for some of the tenants I'm trying to place right now, for example, a few folks with mobility issues and pets, there's very few rentals that I'm finding that can check both of those boxes. So now, I mean, I'm patrolling Craigslist, I'm shaking hands. We've got a handful of people to still place this phase. So if anyone has any recommendations, I would greatly appreciate it.
You know, I think last time you brought that up, I was like, hey, you should talk to that guy who has the app about like housing rentals. And then, you know, I didn't know his name, but like he's here in living person. That's the guy to talk to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, have you gotten on Turboton and looked in Fort Collins at inventory?
No, and I don't. It's on the checklist of other places to dig. So, but we can chit chat a little bit about that.
All right, who else? Oh, who else has a resource, an ask? I knew it that was a double. A resource to share that we need to know about, an ask or
a win.
A win, there we go.
A resource, my wife texted me back. It's called OutSchool. Check it out.
OutSchool.
That's the art.
It's all kinds of live led classes for kids that you can sign up. Yeah, that's cool.
James, did you have something?
I am desperately needing a marketing director.
Actually, this is great timing. Jenny and I were just talking about this, and I just met somebody. I reached out to him and I said, you know, my client may be looking for a unicorn. So I was like, this guy, we might be making a niche for this guy. But basically what she was saying is sort of like a fractional chief marketing officer who will tell you what your marketing funnel looks like, who will find the people that are going to do it and manage it and report back to you. Is that what you're essentially looking for?
Yeah, I've got a long list of people who need to be contacted, and there's only one of me, just like there's only one Saturday night.
Okay, well, I will let this guy know, because he said, wait, because I said it's part-time marketing, it's part-time project management. He was like, that sounds so cool. I was like, you might have more work than you're asking for if this is true. So I'll I'll connect them and I'll talk to him, and then if it works out, I'll put you in contact.
Yeah, I'm first.
She's first. Because she asked yesterday and you didn't ask until.
I know.
Yes.
Compete with that.
Anybody else, a win, a resource, or an ask?
And she can take off. She does big.
Marcus.
I guess I'll double down on the win. Why I was up until 2:30 last night working was because we finally got another project for revival over the finish line. We're working with Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, and they are doing a renovation of a building with 99 tenants over 11 floors. And the bid is in for the moving company. The bid is in for their temporary relocation. And we started on that on January 15th. So in a month, we hammered out a complete relocation plan for 100 rehoused homeless folks.
Big win, good for you.
Awesome. All right. Well, nobody else has a win, a resource, or an ask. You're free to go, and you can get a second, third, or a cup of coffee.
This is Natalie. Maybe I'll just jump in since I missed the beginning. I always put my little message there. Sorry, I have to double task, but we still have a couple slots in March. Most of the month is pretty full, but you guys still have one empty, one slot on the 2nd. So if anybody's interested in taking it, just let me know. Otherwise, we're working on April as well. So don't hesitate. Send your friends over, whomever. And Julie, I see you there. So if you're interested in coming back, let me know.
Thank you. I did get your message. I'll be back.
All right. Thanks.
Oh, Ozzy's got his hand up.
Yeah.
You're muted, Ozzy.
Mine are younger, but she's saying they've got classes. There's thousands of classes in there, and they have stuff for teens as well.
You can, Eric, you have to whisper. Ozzy wants to say something.
No whisper.
You have 3 minutes.
You can hear the whisper.
Yeah, they can hear the whispering back there, remember? Okay, go ahead, Ozzy.
You know, it just occurred to me when we're sitting here with respect to the cooking school. There was something that was being done in Denver a while back, at least going back 25 years, and I was a part of it. Was really interesting. And that may be an option for them, and that is you get someone to bring in to cook, and you bring in a small group of people who critique the cooking and provide input and feedback on how they can make it better. So one of the great things about that was that you had someone else coming in with the food and making it for you. And what they take away is a lot of feedback on what they can do to their own food to improve it. So it's just an option that it should have occurred to me well during the presentation, but it worked really, really well for some friends of mine back in the 1990s.
All right.
He's a good cook.
All right, well, have an excellent rest of your week, and we'll see you back here next week.